So those are the two ways you can actually be a great podcast host to create compelling narratives through your episodes. First is much more simple. The second is going to take a lot of practice. So if you want to be a good podcast host, it first starts with a great line of questioning. And I know that's really basic, but you'd be surprised by how many hosts don't ever think through the questions they're going to ask. They just show up and they just say, so tell us about your crap. And that never ends up actually being a great episode. So if you think through an intentional line of questioning, ideally in the form of a framework that actually ties back to a repeated theme for your audiences, you can then easily create a show that has a consistent narrative, even though people come in with different stories. So just think through, what is the narrative that I'm trying to portray? What questions do I ask that help portray that narrative? And how do I ensure we create a consistent theme for episode to episode, even with completely different guests? The second way is not one that I recommend unless you're an incredibly attentive listener. And it is actually I have one specific question. In the episodes and the shows that only have one question, in which they then let the guests drive the narrative by truly asking how else, and really digging into the story, are some of the best shows, because you can tell that there's a true intentionality, a true curiosity that comes through from the host. And if the host has been very intentional to curate interesting guests, the lack of structure that creates this beautiful narrative of a host that just genuinely wants to understand and seek wisdom is what makes some of these shows the absolute best. These also work best when the host is their audience. A prime example would be, I hosted a marketing careers podcast for years, with my entire goal being, I want to understand how to build a marketing career. And I was my audience. So I just asked questions that I was genuinely curious about, that I wished I had known. And when I had the opportunity to ask leaders, I did.